Hey, this is Allison. So, I wanted to come on and talk to you guys a little bit about why you should start planning for your career in France, even if you think that you might end up being retired when you come here. Now, one of the things that I advise people to do, starting as soon as they join the Americans in France group, or as soon as they contact me, or as soon as they start thinking about visas for France, is I really advise you to think as much as possible about whether or not you ever want the ability to make any kind of money in France. Because a lot of times what will happen is people will come here, even if they think that they're going to be retired, especially if, they're a bit younger retirement in their early 60s, still, full of life and wanting to occupy their time with lots of things. And what happens is at some point they get kind of bored or they come up with an idea and they either want to do something like sell their art or do a little tutoring on the side or, come up with something to do to occupy their time that would also happen to make them money. Except the problem is when you're on a visitor visa because you're retired, you're not able to make money and you're not able to sell anything, and it can be a huge problem for people. So one of the things that I advise all of my clients to do, and all of the people that I know who want to move to France, is to really consider, whether you're going to be fully retired or whether you want any kind of ability to eventually work in France. And if you do want the ability to work in France or to make money in France through some kind of, tutoring or teaching or freelance activity or anything like that, then you're going to want to start planning for that even before you begin the visa process, because you're not going to be able to easily switch your visa if you're on a visitor visa, and you're not going to be able to start any of those activities when you're on the visitor visa status. So what I've put together as part of Fast Track to France is I've put together a series of workbooks and worksheets to sort of help you figure out what exactly you're going to do in France for work and for general life fulfillment, regardless of whether or not you're going to be making money. And I really advise you to take a look at this workbook and these series of videos to figure out whether you're retirement age or working age, whether you're going to be continuing in your current career, what your options are for making money in France, and how you're going to develop professionally once you start living in France. So I'm going to show you in Fast Track to France what this module looks like and what's available to you. Now, we're not going to look in all the workbooks, but this is what you're going to get when you sign up for Fast Track to France. This is the very first module after the introduction, because it's really going to be crucial to figuring out what visa type you're going to be going for, and what the tax implications of that are, which come in later modules. So we have a couple of different options in here, and basically what I do is I talk you through all of the options for either finding a job and sponsored work, or working remotely, or starting some kind of business. And then I help you with figuring out, are you able to do your current job or your current type of activity in France? If not, what are the things that you're going to have to do in order to be able to continue that activity? Or if you're not going to be able to continue that activity because it's regulated, how can we pivot your professional skills so that you can find some kind of career or activity that is going to be fulfilling to you, but not be restricted by those requirements, like, a regulated profession or a degree that isn't recognized in France, or something that you have to be an employee to do, but you're not going to be able to be sponsored by a company for that type of position. And so I'll just show you. Here you have the Intro to Your Career in France workbook. You have an intentions check-in for what you're going to learn in this module. And all of these videos, there's 8 videos in this module, are going to walk you through. So this would be like the different steps for getting your degree recognized in France, if you want to be able to work in a particular field, Here's the details of getting sponsored if you want a company to sponsor your visa, how a company would be able to do that. And then, of course, working remotely or starting a business, which ends up being a really popular category. So I'm not going to show you every single video in here because you'll have to join to find out. But this can be a really good, and it's designed as a planning tool that you can do even multiple years before you plan on moving to France, so that you can really start to focus in on what skills you might need to develop, or if there are additional trainings that you can do to pivot your career in a useful way, or if you're going to start a business, what type of business or what type of freelance activity are you going to start? How are you going to find clients for that? And when do you want to start working on that type of business plan? So this module is really going to help you to plan out what your financial life is going to look like in France. Now, again, I specifically talked about retired people at the beginning of this video because a lot of times retired people will come with the intention not to work, but then have the idea that they want to start some kind of freelance activity. The other reason that that can be a really important pursuit when you get here is because generally, you know, once you get to retirement age, you have significant professional experience in your field. You're going to have a really easy time convincing the consulate or the prefecture that, you know, you're going to be able to be successful at whatever business you set up. But then it can also, because you will be earning money and paying taxes in France, it can also affect your ability to apply for a 10-year residency card or even French naturalization, which is otherwise quite difficult on a visitor visa. So if you're on the fence about moving to France, you're not sure exactly what you're going to be doing in your career, if you're going to be able to move based on your savings, or if you might want to have that ability to get naturalized and apply for residency in the future, I really encourage you to join Fast Track to France and to use this module, even if you're a couple years out, to figure out how to make your career in France work.